Kia ora, Markie here, trying to squeeze in another spontaneous and quick and shaky camera video before my voice goes and the flu gets me. I can feel it coming. So this one will fit in quite nicely with my elegant speech series, but it's kind of a bit more demystification to this than the average elegant speech topic. On that series. If you haven't seen that series, follow that series. I've done a bit of tidying today on the channel. I've managed to create playlists. So if you're interested in particular things, like if you're interested in retroactive jealousy, there's no retroactive jealousy playlist. And if you're interested in bardic chairs, there's a bardic chair playlist. There's all kinds of those. I've tidied it up a bit really, which I'm quite pleased about. So, excuse me, here we go. It's coming, the dawn of the illness. Spiritualism and spirituality are two words that people sometimes mix up. They use them kind of incorrectly, they interchange them. So I just want to clarify that really. What is the difference between spirituality and spiritualism? Because you can kind of see why, they sound the same, don't they, really? It's a bit like druidry and druidism. Druidry and druidism, the difference is, however, that both are accurate terms. You can say either, but spiritualism and spirituality are two completely different things. So first of all, what is spirituality? Well, people confuse spirituality with religion, and it's not the same. It's slightly different, although they overlap. I think it would be very poor if you were part of a religion that had no spirituality. Because spirituality should be at the core of a religion. So spirituality is connecting or feeling connected to spirit, but it's kind of used in a very broad sense, really. What do we mean by spirit? Well, that's a whole big conversation, and we've touched on that slightly in other videos. So generally, spirituality is considered to mean some kind of sense of connection to something bigger than oneself, and something of a super or supranatural nature. Supernatural nature? So spirituality could be simply when somebody's in a garden, or they're out in nature, they're up on a mountain or on a beach, or they're swimming in the sea, or they're surfing, and they feel a connection with everything. A connection with their spirit is kind of connecting and stretching out beyond the individual self into something kind of bigger. So that's a broad kind of definition of spirituality, really. So spiritualism. And just to clarify why that's different to religion. So, I've certainly met people who I would say are very spiritual. They, it feels like they're plugged into something. They've got a light coming out of them. And I'm not talking about kind of faulty electrics here. And I've seen that in people who are religious. And I've seen it in people who've got no religion whatsoever. I've seen it in particularly I remember an Anglican priest that conducted a couple of family members' funerals, and this guy just had light pouring out of him. I guess you could see it. Probably not many people kind of pick up on those things, but I could certainly feel something there. I could see something around this guy. And I've seen that in people who are completely, who are atheistic. So you can be kind of an atheist and spiritual, but I guess it'd be difficult to be an atheist and religious. So I guess a religion is more about a certain defined belief system and a pathway. So you can be spiritual. You can have a very deep sense of connection to God, or it might be something more amorphous than God, and that would be spiritual, but it wouldn't be religious because it doesn't kind of fit any particular religion. So religions are kind of very defined things. You can make up your own religion, but religion isn't really an individual thing, whereas spirituality can be. Okay, so can you be religious and spiritual? Yes, hopefully you can. Can you be spiritual and not religious? Yes, you can. Are some people religious but not spiritual? Sadly, yes, I think you can. I think there are some people that follow religion in a very head-centered rather than heart-centered way. Therefore, there's kind of no feeling, no connection, no spirituality involved. They're just following a set of rules and beliefs, and that can be dangerous. And and we've seen that really. So that's a difference, thrown in for nothing there. Bonus demystification. The difference between spirituality and religion. The other little phrase, I use this in the 12-step programs a lot, is they say that religion is for people who don't want to go to hell, and spirituality is for people who've been there. Which is kind of a nice little phrase, but it doesn't help us really. It doesn't clarify what I'm trying to say or support what I'm trying to say. Really, it doesn't fit with the definition that I just shared. But I'll throw it out anyway, because I'm a great believer in looking at things in lots of different ways, and you don't have to go with the definition that I just shared. Spiritualism. Okay, spiritualism is a religion and an approach. So spiritualism, as far as I'm aware, became popular in the 1800s, and it was if you're thinking about spiritualism, think seances, think people that believe that their loved ones might come back to visit them, people who might believe that we have spirit guides, all those kinds of things really. And spiritualism is I suppose it's a movement really. That would be more accurate to say it's a movement or an approach, but there are also spiritualist churches, so that's where it becomes a religion. And there's tends to be two broad strands of spiritualist churches. There's the ones that are kind of highly Christian, that sing Christian hymns and do Christian prayers, and then incorporate mediumistic activities into their services. And there are spiritualist churches which are kind of less Christian. They tend to sort of feel and look a little bit Christian, really, kind of Christian with a small c. Now it's kind of quite controversial because a lot of mainstream Christians would say that it's forbidden in the Bible to be a medium and to have contact with spirits, blah 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 blah. But we won't get into all that. My philosophy is each to their own. I've known lots of people who are spiritualists and do spiritualist stuff, and I don't have a problem with that at all, really. So what would spiritualists believe? They tend to believe in past lives, which is kind of interesting. They tend to believe that people kind of go to a spirit realm in between past lives, and that's where they can be contacted and where they can kind of have communication from the other side, if you like. That's the word that's used. And spiritualist churches tend not to have priests or ministers. They have visiting mediums that kind of do a circuit of a number of spiritualist churches, and they will give mediumistic readings to people in the church during the service. And then somebody will probably conduct or officiate, but they won't be a minister as such. That's kind of how spiritualist church rolls. So it's quite a specific thing, really, spiritualism. And of course, seances, that's not necessarily conducted in churches, traditionally conducted in parlours, with tables rising up and tables rapping and all that kind of thing. But that's the spiritualist movement. So spirit, as in, so the key word in spiritualist is spirit. It's about contacting spirits, generally speaking human spirits. They also tend to believe in angelic spirits and things like that. Whereas spirituality, maybe that's why I describe that, is more maybe about your spirit. It's about the human spirit and how that might kind of reach out and connect with something bigger. Okay, so two very different things. What about spiritism? I don't know much about spiritism. There is, this is where these things always get really complicated. I know there is a movement called Spiritism, which is very like spiritualism, and I think there are some technical kind of differences and stuff like that. And some kind of fundamentalist Christians will refer to spiritualists as spiritists. Because they don't like the fact that they have contact with spirit, and they think that's really bad, and they kind of use spiritist or spiritism as a kind of derogatory term for spiritualists. Okay, live and let live is my philosophy. I don't have derogatory terms for anybody really, as far as I'm concerned. You know, believe whatever you wish, as long as it's not harming you or harming anyone else. I think that's a pretty good maxim.